Hi, everyone, and welcome back to some new episodes of Sisters in Service. For those of you that know me, you know why I do this, because I want to tell those stories of active duty women and women veterans, and to tell their story, you know, the good, the bad, and the ugly of what happened to them in service and after service. But these women are also doing some amazing things in their life after service. I also like to highlight these women who are business owners, they're entrepreneurs, they're bosses in their business. So I hope you'll continue to listen and let your friends know and let me know how this lands with you, because it's really important for me that you guys understand what I do, why I do it, and why I continue to do it. So here's the first episode. This episode is being sponsored by Small Space Pilates. Are you ready to get fit and fabulous from the comfort of your own home? Look no further than Small Space Pilates. With live online Pilates and weight training classes, a video library, and a no perfection allowed policy, you can achieve your fitness goals without ever leaving your house. Visit smallspacepilates.com for your complimentary session and start your journey to feeling fabulous today. Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Sisters in Service. You know me, I am your host, Kat Corchado, and welcome to a new part of our series. For those of you that don't know, I took a break. I'm back. I've got some amazing guests for you today. But my guest today is Alicia Washkevich. She is the COO of New Politics. We'll talk about that in a second. She volunteers her time with the Military Family Building Coalition. We'll talk about that too. She sits on the Navy Rugby Alumni Association Board. She has numerous master's degree, BS, Bachelor's of Science in Oceanography, which that's very interesting. And she coaches the DC Aquatic Club. She's a mom. She's I was going to say housewife. That's not right. She's a mom. She's not a housewife. Did you hear what I just said? All that stuff.
Yeah.
But she's also a proud native of New Jersey and a huge Bon Jovi fan, just like I am. So welcome, Alicia.
We're just going to talk about Bon Jovi the whole time.
Oh, we can. The hair, let's start there,
Thank you for having me. I'm super excited to chat.
Yeah, it's so great to have you. And so I said that you're a Navy veteran. And so did you pick the Navy or did the Navy pick you?
That's a great question. No one in my family was in the military. My grandfather worked on the Navy ships in Philadelphia at the shipyard. It's not that it just wasn't a thing in my family, but I swam through high school competitively. And there was another girl that was one of my friends on my swim team. She was a year older than me. And she wound up going to the Naval Academy. And, I kept in touch with her and this seemed kind of cool. And so I remember I told my parents, hey, I kind of want to check out the Naval Academy. And they're like, okay, good luck. But I did this summer seminar program. So you spend a week at the Naval Academy the summer before your senior year of high school. And I think my parents thought I was going to go and come back and be like, absolutely not, no way for me. And I went and I was hooked. I was hooked in the camaraderie. I spent 1 week with these rising high school seniors, and sure, they're marching you around and you get to see the cool labs with the wave pools, and you're in Annapolis and it's gorgeous. But they had a little indoctrination night where they're yelling at you and you're doing push-ups. And I was so close with this group of high school seniors after that 1 week. I couldn't imagine what it would be like after years of service. And so just the tradition and the camaraderie, I was hooked, and I came home and I told my parents I'm going to go to the Naval Academy. I'm an only child. My dad was like, oh, and my mom was like, before you know it, you go to the Naval Academy and then you're in the Navy. And I didn't really 100% know what I was getting into, but I would do it all over again in a heartbeat. So I think the Navy and I sort of found each other.
I think it's a bond whatever service you go into, that you find that other people are in there with you, and you're there's a phrase we used to say, embracing the suck together, you know,
Yeah.
and it brings you closer together. You know, you're just like, we're all in this. We might as well be friends while we're doing this, you know?
Yeah.
So when you decided to go, did your parents finally say, okay, she's really doing this? And then were they okay with it afterwards?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think they were always probably a little bit nervous, but like the Naval Academy, and also shout out to the New Jersey Parents Club if anyone here is listening. I mean, they do a really good job of trying to engage families. I mean, my parents wound up coming to like every tailgater and just making hundreds of Rice Krispie treats to like hand out to other midshipmen. And they'd come to my swim meets, and I was in Glee Club. And, you know, I think similarly, like in the same way in the Navy, you have this camaraderie. There's kind of some tangential camaraderie, which I imagine a lot of spouses feel, and folks that are just connected to the military. It really becomes this community and this community of support.
Yeah, I've been involved with the military in some form or fashion since I was a child, because my dad was already in the service in the Air Force when I was born. So I was a military brat, and then I was a military spouse. Then I was active duty military. Now I'm a veteran. I was like, there's nothing else that I could tick off on my box.
You're the trick. You've got the military
So I think it's just this feeling. Like I told someone once that I could be on a base, any base. It could be Army, Navy, Marine Corps, doesn't matter. And I'm like, yeah, these are my people, because it's a base. That's where I grew up. And
Yeah.
it feels safe. It feels like home. You know, most of the things are in the same order, no matter what base you go to. You know, they might be called different things, but people get the gist of what you're asking for. But even today, it just feels very like, yeah, you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
it's just very interesting. So how long did you serve?
So I was in the fleet for 6 years after graduation. And I served in two ways. So I was a surface warfare officer. When I first left the Naval Academy, I actually went to grad school for only a year. There was this IJEP, Immediate Graduate Education Program. And then I was a surface warfare officer. But because I studied oceanography at the Naval Academy, I had what was called an ocean option. I don't even know if they exist anymore, but it meant that after I earned my unrestricted line warfare qualification, that I could sort of drop the option and then transfer to restricted line, to what used to be the METOC community and now is information dominance. But I actually stayed a surface warfare officer for a little bit longer because I was having fun. I mean, you know, we were deploying and we were on ships, and it was long and it was bananas. I'm sure we all have lots of stories, but
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, I felt we were doing really good work. We were doing a lot of anti-piracy missions. And I really felt like we were helping. And I was traveling and having a halfway decent time. But then I really did want to lean into, you know, my education around oceanography. And there was a new unit that was standing up calling Fleet Survey Team that did expeditionary hydrography, which ultimately meant I got to run around the world on like a jet ski with a sonobuoy behind me, hanging out with like dive teams in the Red Sea. I'm like, well, that seems like a lot of fun.
I would do that.
I'm going to go do that.
I'll do that. That sounds very cool.
Yeah.
What was the coolest place that you've been to during this time?
For me, it was Jordan. I had to do a survey in Aqaba, Jordan. And when I was on my ship, we had pulled into Bahrain. But I mean, I was in Aqaba, Jordan on land, and was there for about 3 months and really got to know that community. We were working with the Jordanian Navy. I got to know the community a lot more. And the Red Sea was just heaven. I was diving. I mean, I was out. I still had long days. I mean, I was doing like expeditionary hydrography on small boats while we were out on the Red Sea. But it was just so beautiful, and the people were so kind. And they loved their country and they loved their prince. I remember when we were on the Navy base, they would like sing, you know, like we do cadence when you march. They'd sing these beautiful songs to cadence, and it was about how they loved their country and their king or their prince. At least that's what I was told. So I loved it. I loved it.
Well, that's so not a desk job, I'm just going to say. You're like, what
Not
did
a
you do? I sat behind a desk, That's amazing. I mean, that just sounds like every day was just different, And
It
that's
was.
the kind of job where you just go, I can't wait to go to work, which I never said, by the way, but
I mean, there were definitely long days. There were
oh,
definitely
I'm
times at
sure.
like 3 in the morning where you're like, what am I doing with my life? But I
Yeah.
mean, I think the experiences that I had, especially at a young age, I'm so grateful for those
Mhm.
experiences and for the travel and for meeting the people and tasting the food and just having all
Oh,
these
yeah. All of
experiences.
those experiences. My dad, when we would go overseas, he would make us eat off base,
Yeah.
and taste the local cuisine. And as a result, I have a huge palate for just different foods. I'm not afraid to try different foods or anything like that. So when you go back home, you've gotten out of the military, did you feel different? Did you feel like you had the place that you left that seemed so huge was now kind of smaller, that maybe you'd outgrown? I've talked to people who say they go back, especially if they're in a small town and they've outgrown their friends, they're different, they don't have the same interests as they did before. And it's kind of this letdown.
Yeah, I had a really rough transition. I transitioned in 2008 when everything was crashing. And honestly, one of the reasons I got out, I mentioned I was an only child. My parents' health was fading. I was getting, really inspired and sort of motivated about the environment and climate change. And the Navy wants you on that track. And I'm like, well, I kind of want to do these cool things. And I'm like, but you have to go do these other things. Just when it all came together, I made the decision to get out.
It
And
was
then
time to go.
it was time to go. And I still keep in touch with like my old CO and XO. I mean, amazing, remarkable folks. But it was time for me to go. And it was tough. And you talk about the familiarity of being on a base and knowing things where things are. I mean, I remember like I just didn't know how the world works, which sounds bananas.
Doesn't it? Yeah.
You live you live in an apartment or you live on base when you're in the military. Like I knew how to pay rent. I knew how to go food shopping, but I didn't know like what jobs were out there. I didn't know, I didn't know that you could work for a nonprofit and have that be your career. I literally thought everyone that worked for nonprofits was just volunteering their time.
Exactly.
I didn't know project management versus product management. I knew, and it was almost this new way of like, how do you make friends and build that community that I feel like when you're in the military, you're just kind of dropped into a community, whether you like it or not. And you spend so much time and there's just kind of this innate sense of always being there for
Yes.
someone in your unit. Like someone calls you up and they're like, my dad got stuck on a layover. Can he crash on your couch? And you're like, sure, absolutely. And there's just this innate connection that you're just there for each other, no matter where you are in the world and your friends and family. And that camaraderie, I did feel that whole. I mean, I made friends. It took a while, but it also, the stories that you would share would be different. The
Yes.
experiences that you had would be different. The language you had would be
Oh,
different.
yeah. All of it. I think that, when we get indoctrinated into the military and we forget how to make friends, I guess, because think about it. You see somebody in your uniform or a uniform, and there's an instant connection,
Mhm.
right? And then you forget how to network. You forget how to talk to people that aren't wearing the uniform because that's where you are. And then you get out of the military and they place you in wherever, and people are asking you silly questions. Like when I tell people I was in the Air Force, like, oh, did you fly planes? I'm like, I wasn't that important. I'm just going to say. But it's just really difficult. Or they'll say things like, well, you don't look like a veteran. And I'm like, what does that mean?
What does a veteran look like?
Yes. So it's like it's like you're straddling two different worlds.
Yeah.
You've got your military world, you've got your civilian world, and you don't really fit into either one of them. Not really.
Yeah.
And the Air Force or the military is like, okay, bye, bye, see you later. And the civilian world is like, ooh, who's this? It's like trying
Oh,
to get into a new
100%.
clique at school.
Yeah.
You're trying to break into a clique and people are like, ew, who is
Yeah.
that?
I had a really, I mean, I wound up taking a job through like one of the kind of military headhunting type of firms until I essentially learned you can work for a nonprofit as a career. I was like, I want to do that. Like, I am a mission driven person. And that's what I wanted to do. And it was actually really hard to even just break into the nonprofit space because I think they really didn't know what to do with someone that was in the military. I mean, one, it took me a while to even identify as a veteran because I thought
Oh
veterans
yeah.
just,
That's normal.
yeah. And then two, it was like, well, I didn't grow up as like I didn't serve my time because I was in the military post college or, my young professional adult life. I wasn't an activist or like a community organizer, but I did a bunch of other stuff that
Right.
has like transferable skills to nonprofit. And I think nonprofit just was, so many people I think leave the military and go to military like adjacent types of work.
Yes. Yes.
They're at Booz Allen or Boeing and like amazing, like wonderful. Like, thank you for like hiring veterans and helping with the transition. And
Absolutely.
that wasn't what I was looking for. And it was really tough to try and get a job. I was applying to so many nonprofits. I was like, but like, I know how to do operations and logistics. And surely when you're doing these marches or you're doing these hikes and things, like I'm really good at planning.
That.
Real
I
good
could
at
do that. I could do that. Yeah, I did the same thing. I was a program manager in the military, communications program manager. And I would see these program manager jobs and they were just like, thank you, but no thank you. And I'd always had one foot in the civilian world only because I tried to I was making extra money in the fitness arena. And so after I got out and found out that management was not my deal, I did not want that. I said, let me just go, full head of steam into fitness, which is what I did. And so it's a little easier to break into than proving to people because you know what you can do, but they're like, oh, I don't know, and sometimes civilians have preconceived notions of what military veterans, they hear PTSD, they hear all of these things,
yeah.
are like, ooh, I don't know if I want to deal with that. So let's change subjects and let's talk a little bit about new politics.
Sure.
How did you get involved and why?
That's also a lovely question. So I mean, honestly, I was working at the Sierra Club. I was the deputy chief operating officer there, and like a headhunting firm reached out. I mean, I was already starting to think about. I'd been at the Sierra Club for 12 years. Love, my father was like a card carrying Republican. My mom was a teachers union Democrat. I lived in this house of love, and but my dad was a hunter, and he understood that you need, like forest and things to go hunting and we should protect them. And
Right.
I was already in this space where I saw our country being so divided. I have two young girls and I was starting to think about my next move. I was starting to think about what more can I do. Like we can activate communities. But with this division in the country, how can I help? What can I bring to the table to try and help start to heal this division in this country? You think about your service in the military and you're not looking to your left or your right saying, what party did you identify with? Who did you vote for? Like you're all working together. You're all deployed together. You're all counting on each other. And like that sense of the America and our democracy that I felt like was just getting argued about. Between neighbors, it just coming back to a sense of what could I do to help really revitalize our democracy. When I got the call from the headhunters and they talked to me about new politics, I was like, this is it. This is what I need to do. Our executive director, Emily Cherniak, is amazing. She founded New Politics. I mean, just with the idea of thinking about all these people that have served before, that have served their communities and their country before, whether it's in the military, whether it's AmeriCorps, Peace Corps, local nonprofit leaders, frontline workers, folks that were like, you know what? I care about my community. I serve my community. How do we get them to serve again in politics, up and down the ballot, both sides of the fence, people that are going to serve with integrity, courage, empathy. It's not about party politics. It's not about the money. It's really about serving your community. How can we find those people? Because the people we probably want in politics are people that are like, oh my gosh, I'd never get into politics. We're like, yes,
Exactly.
we're the one, you know? How do we recruit these people? How do we develop and how do we support them? And then how do we help get them elected? All without putting price tags on it. So the whole point of New Politics is to try and get money out of it, that we raise money to then provide all of the support and recruiting and training and support to get elected for free. Because we want folks on both sides of the aisle that want to work together and work for their communities, because they've served before. They've proved that they've served to the left, to the right, no matter what your party is, because they believe in our country, they believe in our democracy, and they just want to get the work done for their communities and for their country. So, I mean, I get all like, I get all fired up because I'm like, this is what we need to do. But it was perfect for me. It was a perfect fit. I was so happy. It's where I really felt called to continue sort of my service.
So do people find you, or do you find people? Like, do you go up to people and say, have you ever thought about running for local office, you know, stuff like that? I mean, how does that work?
All the above.
Oh.
All the above. And when I say up and down the ballot, I truly mean, you know, folks that here in Washington, D.C., we have a position called ANC. It's an advisor, like an advisory neighborhood council. It's not a paid position. It's a volunteer position, but it is an elected position. And these positions have, like, in all these communities out here in all the different states, there's these types of positions that have so much power. When you think of someone that's approving liquor licenses, someone that's approving building permits, like, is another high-rise condo going to go in? You know, like, is another green space or park going to go in? There are people that are serving in those positions that, like, how would you even know, one, those positions exist, or two, that it's actually an elected position? So it's a little bit of both. We have folks that find us. And so anyone listening, please check us out, newpolitics.org. There's like an indie band, New Politics. So if you Google New Politics, you might find an indie band. Not that one.
Not that one.
Not that one. So some people reach out to us and we're excited and happy to help. And other times, we'll know through our network. We have a really strong alumni community. We'll know just for our staff, folks like, hey, there's an ANC neighborhood position that's going unfilled in DC. So if no one is there to be approving the liquor licenses, like, some of these things start to happen by default. And, like, how is someone listening to the community and what the community needs? So then it's like, who can I ask? You know, like, who do I know in my network? I have a friend right now that's running for school board up in New Jersey. She's a mom of 3 and a nurse, but someone has to serve on the school board, and her kids are going to be entering school. So it's part folks coming to us, and it's part us trying to, like, kind of help say, let's demystify politics, right? I mean, if one of the barriers to entering politics is, one, you just have no idea how to do it, or you don't know what roles are out there that you can get engaged on, then the other part of it is trying to demystify, you know, like, if you didn't grow up as a Kennedy or a Bush or a whatever, how do you even know what it all means? I think some folks think, I don't want my family's name to get dragged into the mud, or I'm not going to raise $1 million. Well, for, like, a local ANC commissioner or some local city councils or board of education, you know, maybe you raise, I don't know, $1,000 to get some yard signs put it there for folks to vote, and you knock on some doors, but, like, no one's doing Oppo research on you and, like, putting some TV commercial about what a whole you are, you know? Like, it's not the Senate. Granted, we have actual congressional candidates too, but I mean, for some of these lower races, it's another way to serve. And so it's just kind of trying to demystify that and show folks that this is an option.
So how do people find these open positions? So let's say, okay, I'm a huge dog lover. So I find some position that has to do with the shelters in our area.
Yeah.
And I say, okay, cool. I want to do that. But what is there a website? Is there, I mean, how do people find these positions? And when they do, how do they find out what they need to do to run for that particular position?
Amazing question. So, the finding the positions can be different between each jurisdiction and each state and each county. So you probably have to do a little bit of Googling for like your own local government and get on their site and just see the names and the positions of people that exist. But then, I mean, the best thing you can do is reach out to us. So I'm the COO. My gift, my like love language is operations and logistics and budgets and running the day to day of an organization, of a nonprofit. But we have advisors. All of our advisors, again, and we have Democrat advisors, we have Republican advisors. We understand that there's a two-party system in this country, and we need to all work together. And so the advisors have real campaign experience. They came from political world, from campaigns. They're the ones that will pair you with an advisor. We have some trainings that you can do. But once you ultimately would decide to run, you get paired with an advisor for free. That's the person that you can call, that you can text, that will help hold your hand every step of the way for conversations. How do I talk to my family about this?
Right.
How do I prepare my, stump speech? Or how many doors do I need to knock on? How many signs do I need to print out? When do I place those signs? All the way through the election and after. Did you win? Did you not? What is the next step for you?
Exactly.
We stay connected with you every step of the way, because if you want to continue to serve, we're going to help you do that. And we do it all for free. That's the whole point, is that we don't want money to muddy the waters. We want to raise money so that we can help provide all this support and service for free. So everyday folks that care about their communities and their country, that want to serve again, that are interested in maybe doing that through politics, we're here to help.
What is it about veterans you think make good candidates for either local office or higher?
It's a great question. I think veterans have already raised their hand once. Something inside of them called them to serve. And something inside of them I can run down. I have so many catchphrases from the military that I truly love. I loved your embrace the suck. Like, if I go back to thinking of like adapt and overcome, right? I mean, like I say that every other day of my life. And whether it's in politics or whether it's in any job, like the ability to adapt and overcome, there's the OODA loop, like, thank you. I think Air Force came up with that one, but the Marine Corps also uses it. I mean, the ability to observe like what's going on around you, take in data, make a decision, move forward. And if you need to change things up as you continue to go, like you're pushing forward the work, you're pushing forward whatever needs to be done. And then my other favorite one is one team, one fight. Like that to me is where our country can and should be. Like when we think about, again, this divisiveness, I think about my time in the military. Like I didn't know. And I know now, like I have some friends on my Facebook feed on both sides of the fence of where maybe I align politically or not. And yet there's still people that I know would serve with integrity, with courage, with empathy, even if they're not my same political party, and I would vote for them. And I think that comes from this time in the military where we all had to serve together. We were one team, one fight. We had to deploy together. We had to figure it out together. And I think that is something that, I mean, certainly I think is unique to veterans, but I think for other folks, for military spouses, like let's get more military spouses into politics, into local office. Why not?
Why not? So when you have people come to you, and I'm sure you probably, I won't say there's an intake form, but you probably sit down and have a conversation with them. What are some reasons that people have told you about why they want to get into politics in the first place?
I mean, I think it's certainly the gamut. I think a lot of it does, again, have to do with just this call to serve and understanding that there's sort of like the long game. I mean, I think, you're really interested in animals. You can I have a really good friend in my neighborhood, like shout out to my mom friends in my neighborhood. And she is really passionate about our local shelters. She fosters dogs all the time. She's always collecting blankets and things to give to the shelters. Like there is a real need for that in communities. And then now we should also think about like, well, but what is the long game for that? Who is thinking about, so the community rights out of Washington, D.C. have this pit bull ban. And you're like, pit bulls are banned in the community. And there's different types of legislation that can happen to both protect communities and at the same time, like how do you tell if a dog is a pit bull if it doesn't have a DNA test? Like there's so many pieces of just caring about animals that you don't even realize somewhere in some town or city or state, there's real legislation that has an impact on that community that has to do with animals. So politics is sort of like that long game. So I think when folks kind of find us and come to us, maybe there's something that's passionate for them that kind of sparked this interest of like, oh, wait, this thing happened. And like, oh, wait, but there's this law, or like, oh, but wait, this thing can't happen because of XYZ in my community. And you have to make this change. Or there might be someone in their community that they just don't think is doing a great job for their community because whoever that other person is, whatever their opinion they might have, they feel like they're motivated by money or they're motivated by like the power and the bright, shiny, flashy lights and not really that call to serve. And so, I think there's a million reasons why folks will kind of find their way to politics. But again, we are sort of actively also asking folks to raise their hand, especially when there's these types of roles that either go unfilled or go unopposed. And have, there's bad actors in every profession.
Oh, yeah.
Politics. But someone has to raise their hand to say like, all right, I'll be on my local city council.
Yeah. It's funny you said that because whenever we have like local voting, I'm in North Carolina and you're voting and, you're used to seeing 2 boxes or more and it's 1 box and this person's running unopposed. And I was like, well, that's easy. Check. So I think I was like, wow, I didn't know that you could run unopposed. I think that's pretty cool. So Alicia, what advice would you have for someone who's considering a career in politics? Are there any quick words of advice or just come to you and ask and start the process?
You can email me directly. It's Alicia, ALICIA at newpolitics.org. I think folks come to us not ready to run. Some folks come to us, they're like, I want to run. I'm going to do it like 6 months from now. I'm doing the thing. Folks will come to us that are like, you know what? I don't know. Maybe 5 years from now, maybe 10 years from now, there's a little voice in the back of my head that is just kind of curious about what it would look like and what it would mean. We love those folks. And folks that are just wanting to get more civically engaged, that want to, there's elected positions for not just like poll workers for the day, but people that are managing the voting process. Our democracy is not a given. We have to work at it every single day. And it takes a lot of people to work together to make it function. And so there's all these different ways that I think if you're just thinking to yourself, you can be happier in your job right now. You can be happy in your life right now. But if you're curious about what is another way that I could serve my community and serve my country, reach out to us. We're happy to chat. We're happy to talk about what options are out there, whether it's like, I know, like, I want to be a senator. Like, okay, we can talk to you too. But if it's like, how do I get involved in just like civically in my community? What are my options out there? We want to talk to you because that's what I think we need, especially from our veterans and our military spouses and just anyone that served before. That's how I really believe we continue to revitalize this democracy.
So why haven't you run for office? Or is that an aspiration for you?
I don't know. Ask me. I mean, I love my job and I love operations and I think about it every once in a while. And I don't, maybe one day, we'll see. Maybe one day. For right now, I feel like my, where I can make the most impact is by helping as many people as possible, by helping our organization. But maybe
Mhm.
one day, you hear it now. Vote for Alicia.
You heard it here first, folks. So tell our audience a little bit about the Military Family Building
Oh,
Coalition.
yes. Military Family Building Coalition is a remarkable organization that helps military members and their spouses literally build families. I had a lot of infertility issues, which shouldn't be a shock because there's plenty of women that either have infertility issues in the military or spouses,
Mhm.
or just by the sheer fact that I mean, if you think about how all of that works of the birds and the bees, like when you're deploying, like I can say the word ovulation on here. It's, it shouldn't be a scary word, but like,
Mhm.
if you're ovulating and your spouse is on the ship or underway, or you're here or you're deploying, or like, it's just harder to physically be literally in the same spot together on some of these magic windows per month to even try it, let alone the additional stresses that are put on anyone's bodies and just
Absolutely.
the timing. So there's some statistic, I'm going to get it wrong. But there's some statistic about like 70% of the people in the military are somehow related to someone, your father, your mother, your uncle,
Mhm.
your grandfather, your cousin. There's this large majority of people in the military that essentially came from some version of a military family.
Oh,
So
wow.
it sort of behooves us and I
Mhm.
say us as the military and our country, to help support military families to build families. And yet, here's another reason why you should serve, uh, TRICARE and
Yes.
a lot of the sort of regulations haven't caught up yet to just how you build a family. There's rulings about, if you're the female has the egg and the male has the sperm, but like if someone has a service connected disability, that they can't use that sperm, the service member sperm, and they would have to use
Mhm.
donor sperm. Like there's so many rules of like, well, that's not allowed, and if it's non-coital, and if it's not this, and it's I,
Oh, God, that makes my brain hurt.
it makes you so bananas when you're like, well, but if they have a service connected injury that they can't
Mhm.
use that sperm, but you
Mhm.
can't let a sperm donor sperm to help make this service member a family, like it gets kind of bananas. And so
It's like a locked door. You got two doors and you go in this one, it's locked. You go in this one, it's locked. And you're like, yeah, just walk through the door. And you're like, I can't.
you're like,
How
just
do I get there?
and also like you've served your country. Like I
Mhm.
spent my best baby making years serving
Mhm.
my country. And then like, why shouldn't I get to have a family? That
Right.
sounds very entitled, and I understand.
Mhm.
And it's a very sensitive topic.
Mhm.
It was a very sensitive topic for me when I was struggling to get pregnant with my first daughter.
Mhm.
But so the Military Family Building Coalition does a lot of education. They do a lot of advocacy.
Mhm.
They've got programs. There's the aviatrix program. So if anyone here is listening that is in the Navy and a Navy pilot, or in the Navy aviation community, please check out the aviatrix project. There's like free counseling and support, and you can get
Mhm.
partnered with a nurse that can help you navigate the system, which
Mhm.
also it's like you need a PhD to try and figure out how to navigate the system within TRICARE or within
Oh,
like
yeah.
military medicine and what's available to you as a veteran in the VA.
Yeah,
So
you almost need a degree in just that on how to
you
read
do,
all
you
that
do.
stuff, you know.
And so,
But
yes, I donate my time just to help. I mean, obviously, it's very near and dear to my heart. I mean, the organization is truly established to support military families and building families, and with the hopes of honestly one day we don't have to exist anymore because we've sort of like fixed all of these issues and we've caught up
Mhm.
with the care that military families should have to be able to build the families that they want.
Mhm. All right, last question.
I'm ready.
Wait, before we do that,
Okay.
Tell people, our audience again, how they can find you.
Okay, you can email me. My email is Alicia, Alicia @newpolitics.org. You can go to the New Politics website, which is newpolitics.org. Again, not the indie band. If you Google it, please email me, reach out. I'm also just super passionate about helping people in their transitions. I mean, mine really was rough. And so, anyone that ever reaches out to me, it's like, can you talk to this person? Can you ask, like, I'm here and happy to help.
I think it's veterans helping veterans, because civilians still don't understand the whole, they don't understand it. I'm still like, when I go to a game or sporting event and they play the national anthem and I'm standing up, and there's people on their phones, they've got their hat on, and I get angry. I just get very, and my husband's holding my hand and I'm squeezing his hand. And he's like, and he's trying to just calm down, and I'm like, they don't get it, and it's very sad to me that, people understand that the freedoms they have were given to them by the people who fought for those freedoms and died for those freedoms. And they think it's just a story, and it's so not a story. Okay, I'm off my soapbox. Last question. Bon Jovi, favorite member of the band?
Bon Jovi. I can't, it's just, I see him and I like my heart, like the pitter patter, right?
Yeah, he was very, and still is, very handsome. But I used to like Richie Sambora too. I just thought he was. All right. So favorite Bon Jovi song?
Living on a Prayer. It's such a cliche, but I just have so many memories, so many of them from the military, of just letting loose, trying to even remotely desperately sing that song. And I think I have a halfway decent voice. I mean, to me, it also just is it's what a voice, what a range, to sing that song.
Oh yeah.
And then he does a duet about coming home, You Can Always Come Home. I love that song too.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. It was, I kind of miss MTV a little bit, because if it wasn't for, because there's songs you hear on the radio and you're like, yeah, and then you see the video and you go, ooh, okay, I get it now. Yeah. Oh, well, Alicia, it's been a pleasure having you on, and thank you so much for being a guest and letting us know about New Politics. And I have to be, and I think I said to you this to you during our call, is that when I saw politics, I was like, ooh, I don't know. Yeah. And I thought, okay, well, let me just talk to her and see what this is about, And so I'm so glad that I called and we got a chance to talk. And it's wonderful finding out new stuff, because I'm such an information junkie that I like to know a little bit about everything. Don't ask me why that is. I'm not really sure, but but it's been fun having you on. And I hope that Alicia's giving you some ideas of, you don't have to be running for president or anything else. If you just want to run for your local office, there are ways you can find out about that. And if not, I'm sure that you can contact Alicia and she can let you know about that. But also, please stay safe, take care of each other. And as always, it's never too late to start your impossible.